right.
Okay, this is going to be we'll call it the Lee and Greg podcast 1 right now.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's yeah.
Yeah. Or the Tough Ain't Enough podcast.
Tough Ain't Enough podcast. Yeah. Whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah. This is already sounding like a podcast. So, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Lee. How are you?
Oh, you got that voice. There you go.
The DJ days.
Yes.
Remember when we used to be DJs back in Chicago?
In Chicago, that's how we met.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to the Hang Up.
no, we don't have to go there. But we did go to Columbia College at one point.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah, Columbia College.
Yeah. Worked at the bar, went to Columbia College. Friends for how long? A long time.
See, we met probably 90?
Yeah, it was 1990.
91, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or 91. Yeah.
So we're aging ourselves, Greg.
They can look at us.
Yeah. No, I got one of those filters on right now.
Right.
That make me look like at least 20 years younger.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Nice.
It's like AI, baby. AI is everything right now.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about AI, by the way. You want to get into that?
Well, you already brought it up.
Yeah, might as well, right?
Okay.
So, of course, the industry right now is having a freaking shit fit because AI is scaring the hell out of everybody. And with good reason, I guess,
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of jobs away.
Yeah. So what kind of jobs is it taking, Greg?
To be honest, in the industry, it can take, special effects, for sure. Mm-hmm. Location, scouting location, for sure. Wardrobe, for sure. And let's be honest, even acting. Because it's now AI is providing extras. So, and the special effects that you see in a lot of AI shots would have been done by people. It would have taken weeks, sometimes months, to perfect those special effects.
And it does it in minutes.
AI does it in minutes.
Yeah.
So, I could see the industry being like, oh, fuck, we're fucked. But at the same time, I'm sure there's some pros to it, right?
Well, I think, honest to God.
Please share. How do you really feel?
I'm kind of embracing the whole AI thing, to tell you the truth, I love Terminator 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
I think what a wonderful world, right?
No, a wonderful world didn't have AI back then.
Yeah. No, but I think actually it's just a tool like anything else. I think the problem is that we are going through a very big revolution. I compare it to sound. Mm-hmm. When sound came into being, early 1900s for film, everybody's freaking out. Oh God, sound is going to ruin movies. You got to put the camera inside of a booth so you don't hear the noise, and everybody's got to be sitting, right next to the microphone and everything. And it was just so. It was so constricting compared to the silent films, which there was, they had the freedom to move however they wanted.
Well, I think every leap in technology is always risking losing jobs. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned sound, and then what came after sound? Color.
Well, going back to sound, all of those, you heard all these stories about these leading men.
Oh yeah.
Who well, chiseled features and looked really amazing, but when they opened their mouth, they either had a very thick accent because they were usually from Germany or some other country or whatever, that people were like, oh my God, or they had a squeaky, soprano voice compared to,
their voice didn't match their matinee image.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. You're always going to lose something as technology is advancing. So you go from sound to then everything we've seen was on black and white. Then you go from that to color. So that means somebody has to know how to do color cinematography. Otherwise, you're losing jobs if you're only just doing black and white.
To the point where some projectors will not project black and white movies.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon. Bravo.
What movie? What movie?
No, that was the big
the big picture.
The big picture.
Great movie, by the way. If anybody's never seen it, it's a fun film.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a lot of this in the show. I have a funny feeling. But we go from color, not just color, Technicolor. But then all of a sudden, you got the invention of television. So everybody thought that the industry is going to be closed out because if you can get those images in your home, then boom. But the movie industry has still stayed the same. Plus with television, but then you got the leap into online, like cable TV, and seeing movies now on television, and then you got VHS. That came about, now we can record our favorite shows and stuff like that, video recorders and stuff, beta. But then what was better than that? Disc, laser disc.
I got a funny story about Laserdisc. Remember when Laserdisc came out? It was like high fidelity. The picture, you get the letterbox and all of and I saved up. I remember I saved up all my money to get my Laserdisc player, and I got the Laserdisc player, and I got like 10 of my favorite movies on Laserdisc, which they weren't cheap.
Right.
They were like, I think the cheapest you could find at the time was like $20. Most of them were around $40, $50.
Well, I remember to buy a video was $100.
Yeah.
Which you figure if it was Laserdisc, it would probably like 100.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of titles out there that cost almost $100, right? So I went out and I got that. I shit you not. About 2 months later, they came out with DVD.
Yeah.
It made it obsolete.
I remember that.
It made it obsolete.
Obsolete.
It was smaller. It was more compact. It was actually better.
Which is perfect because, again, you go DVD now. Now, all of a sudden, DVD, and then all of a sudden, Blu-ray, and then you had Blockbusters, which you had all that stuff. But then what eventually happened? Netflix came in and pretty much saying, hey, we'll mail you out your movies and then put Blockbusters away. So all those jobs went away. So now we're now in the world of streaming where we can stream everything and doing everything. So, and then now streaming has also possibly taken jobs away because now you don't get the 24, 22 episodic and stuff because everything's on streaming. You now getting like 8 to 10 episodes, so actors have got to, find more and more jobs and stuff like that. So with all the advance with technology, what do you think? But AI still feels even a little more different, maybe more threatening because of the capabilities that the intelligence have. Do you think that?
Well, I mean, in essence, what we are kind of going into, I think, with AI, in essence, I think the future of filmmaking is animation. I mean, it's sort of like you're making an animated movie.
Right.
Your actors aren't real. You're creating those in a computer. Your backgrounds aren't real. You're creating that in a computer.
Right.
The sounds aren't real. Voices aren't real. You're creating all that in a computer. So in essence, I mean, even more so, because at least animation would use an actual person's voice, right? So, yeah, I think I think the future of filmmaking is going to be a lot like animation. It's going to be the creators who are in control, and that is probably the only bright spot in the whole thing. Is that the people that will have the most power, I think, in the future of AI are the creators, the people who can kind of conjure up the ideas that comes up with a unique spin and how to bring all that to fruition, because producers can't do it. Have you ever met a producer that could do it?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Most of your filmmakers are also producers. So if you're talking solely producers.
Yeah. But I mean, studio executives aren't going to be the ones that's going to be the creative force behind that. So in essence, we're all like freaking out right now saying, oh my God, the studios are, we're losing our jobs. Studios are completely jumping ship and going to AI. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be their downfall. I really do, because I think the power is going to it's going to take a while to happen. But I really think the power is going to transfer into the creator's hands. And I think it's going to transfer probably more so in the writer's hands.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I think you're for it.
I think I am kind of for it, because as a writer, how many times have we had to go into rooms with a hat in hand, figuring out, give me permission, to make my movie, please. Please like my script, and God forbid if we walked into a room and said, we wanted to direct. That'd freak everybody out. Because, oh my God, they want to direct as well. We liked your script, but we don't want you.
This is true.
Exactly. So I see it as an ability for creators out there who are mostly writers and directors, of course, who are going to be able to sit down with their ideas and actually see it come to life.
Okay, I'm going to take a con side because you're definitely a pro side.
I'm for it.
You're for it.
I'm for it.
No, I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm just saying on the other hand,
Yeah.
everything you're saying is true, but it still limits the jobs because not everybody can write, direct, and have that vision to kind of produce it.
Oh, we've seen a lot of that.
Oh yeah,
We've seen a lot of proof of that in theaters.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
on streaming,
and in person.
and in person.
So we've covered the gambit. We've been on those lots. We've been in those rooms. But so what it does do is it's a select few that can use it. I agree. I think you can use AI, or you have to, because it's not going anywhere. Anytime technology makes the job you're doing easier, they're going to keep. AI always lagged behind because of the fact that it can almost mimic everything somewhat correctly, except the human features. They still need to work on it, and now they're cracking the code on that for sure.
Well, it's getting better every single day.
It's a learning. Yeah, it really is learning. But just kind of going back to my point, that what you were saying, it does make for that filmmaker who uses it as a tool, who's able to work with it to give the image he wants or she wants, and to build that world, then that's great, and that's what you should do. At the same token, it does make other actors, other line producers and location, scout locations, wardrobe. It makes their job tougher if more and more AI is more and more producers are using AI, which is only then selecting a handful of people. Which the only answer that I would subscribe is that I feel like we don't live in the time where you can just do one thing, and this kind of leads into the state of the industry where we're at right now, because AI is kind of a part of the state of where we are compared to where we came from. We used to have actors act, mm-hmm. writers write, directors direct it. Every now and then you find an actor or a producer that can do all three, and that was great. But it was always that. But everybody depended on the studio system. They make their product, they make their films, on the TV shows, they go to studios, boom. The studios would market it. It would start doing all that stuff. We don't live in that time anymore. Now, more and more, because streaming has taken over, more and more product is out there. But at the same time,
it's not as good.
It's not as good, and social media has climbed.
Mm-hmm.
So now social media becomes the next technology, where it's all about followings. It's all about clicks. It's all about subscribers. It's all about all those things.
Which I kind of find exhausting.
It is.
It's an exhausting arena to be in. I mean, some of the content, I laugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's very humorous.
Right.
When social media or whatever, the TikToks and Instagram is at its best, I suppose, is when it's humorous or funny and
mm-hmm.
and kind of entertaining for that 30-second or 15-second
right.
blurb. The problem is that it's like I compare it to like Cheetos. It's like I like to eat Cheetos, but I don't want to have a whole meal on it.
But that's kind of where we're at right now, because mm-hmm. people are making more and more meals out of all these social media videos and all these clicks that you get to, and it takes you to more and more of what you want to see.
And how many hours do you waste, man? I mean, have you been on I've been on Instagram or a TikTok, and all of a sudden I look up and I'm like 3 hours later.
I'm a YouTube junkie. Okay?
Yeah, a YouTube exactly.
From the moment I wake up, that's my entertainment.
Well, if I can't find anything on the other streaming networks, like the Maxes and the Amazon Primes,
right.
I go directly to YouTube, and I usually find something I want to watch.
There's always something on there. So, and again, that kind of goes back into. Now when you're having YouTube stars and YouTube creators and content creators and stuff like that, and that's then in the industry where all the jobs were already leaving Hollywood anyway, even before the pandemic, going to Atlanta and stuff like that. But now we've had a global pandemic. We've had not one but two strikes in Hollywood, all within the course of 4 years.
Oh, that was smart, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
just like,
that's really intelligent.
yeah,
So all those union reps, I think we're kind of, we're kind of like feeling the sting of that one.
exactly. And part of one of the strikes was the use of AI and the fear that studios were going to replace, their talent with AI, which, let's be honest, if AI was ready, they probably would. But the idea is that the writers and the actors won. But does it feel like
Did we? Did we?
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. What is the state of the industry now?
Well, I
for
mean,
you?
if you look at back in 2008 when we had the strike, the writer's strike, and you know as well as I do, before, it's almost like pre and post, right?
Right.
Because pre 2008, before the strike,
Right.
we had development deals with all these companies. We were still like meeting with people about coming up with new ideas and stuff like that.
Right.
As soon as that strike happened, when we came back to work after the strike was over, that all went away.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, because the studios, I think, at that point, they realized that why are we spending all these millions of dollars developing projects that never see the light of day? And that's kind of what it was. And I get it. I understand. I mean, economically, it makes more feasible sense not to, sink $1 million, $2 million, millions and millions of dollars into projects that's never going to see the light of day. That's never going to get made.
Yeah, but imagine the people that were making a living.
We
off
were
of that.
making a living just developing a lot of projects or getting projects optioned and things like that.
Yeah, but I mean, we at least produced something.
Well, at
I
least
mean,
we did produce and we did get a film made, but
think of the people who we've had our attorneys rep people at the time. Our attorneys at
they
the
were living in
time.
Malibu
They
and
were
never
li-
made a movie.
And never made a movie.
Yeah.
That was the golden years for
Yeah.
us.
I mean, and we're sitting there going, what? How is that possible? It's
Yeah.
like it's like you're an A-list writer, but you never made a film or got a film produced,
Right.
which I always scratch my head and go, how does that work?
Yeah.
But so we saw that happening. That was as heavy as that was, that was really serious. I mean, because a lot of our consistent money went away after that.
Yeah.
And our opportunities went away after that. Now it's like 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
You know? Because now I think it affected the writers back then, but now I think it affects everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody got affected this time. And I think whereas the writers got hit hard in 2008, I think now the whole industry got hit hard.
I don't think the industry ever rebounded back from the pandemic.
Yeah.
And to then turn around and have two major
Talk about
strikes.
piling on, man.
Oh, yeah. It was like saying, okay, we'll give you kind of what you want for the most part. But then it's like, but then there's no jobs.
Well, it was interesting. I read an article recently about one of the studio execs. He said, yeah, you guys, we gave you what you wanted, but now we're going to just move all of our production overseas.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, you won, but did you?
So we were just saying, right now, nobody that I know is working. Everybody that was working at some point then in the industry here, nothing.
Well, if you go by the studios now, how many sound stages are completely empty?
Yeah.
It's like a ghost town. It's scary.
It feels like a cemetery in Hollywood. I feel like how Hollywood is finally broken.
Yeah.
It's for the first time, even with the strike in 2008, things went back to normal.
Yeah.
And yes, it started to veer towards where we are, but this is the first time I don't feel like I'm living in Hollywood because
Hollywood's left.
yeah.
Elvis has left the building, baby. I mean, everybody's going to either Georgia, now the UK. I've heard that Albuquerque now, New Mexico, where the Netflix is building all their sound stages. A lot of work is going. Nashville. I keep hearing all these people going to Nashville now. Heck, Kentucky, my old home state, Kentucky, is now even got a studio over there, and they want to try to build up tax incentives and things for a film.
But see, that's what it's kind of leading to my point, which was the state of the industry as it is dead. As far as I'm concerned, it's dead. Everything that used to work doesn't work anymore. So now, what does writers or actors, or what do they do? How do you still follow that dream where it's even more limited and even more, because it was always competitive and it was always limited the old way. But now it's even more limited in one aspect, but it does open up the door for other aspects, which is that I was telling somebody this who was an actor. I was like, you can't just be an actor now. You can't just be
You have to be a
writer.
creator.
You got to be a creator. You got to be your own marketing person, because we've been fortunate in some ways that we've been on both sides of the fence. Our film War was a studio movie. It was a Lionsgate movie. So which
was awesome to have that kind of juggernaut behind you. When you got a studio behind your film getting made, it's like, it's like all your, it's like it's like the genie, in the bottle. It's like, what do you wish for? What do you want? It's like, I want a crane. Okay, you got a crane. You
get all that
crazy
stuff.
Yeah.
So we're there. We're there in the meetings. We're there in the rooms. We're there on set. You see people like Jet Li and Statham, and you're just like freaking out. So we were able to watch our film come to life. But we also been on the other side where we're doing our own stuff, our documentary that we just released out on Indie Rights.
Tough Enough Conversations with Albert S. Ruddy.
There you go.
Check it out. It's on Tubi, YouTube, Amazon Prime, and Google Play.
Google Play.
So far, so good. And I think it's on Indie Rights too. There, it's on Indie Rights.
Yeah, I don't know what Google plays, but I never had a Google Play.
I've seen it on Google Play.
Right. No. I know it's on there. I just haven't. But So
that's a great, fun documentary about filmmaking, by the way, by one of the great producers of all time, Albert S. Ruddy, who produced The Godfather,
$1 Million Baby, He created Hogan's Heroes, and Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, and Cannonball Run, The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Keeps on going. That was a great experience.
Yeah.
That was one of my highlights of being in Hollywood, I think. It was meeting him and getting to talk to him and hearing about all of the conflicts and stuff that he went through in order to get these movies made. It kind of blows your mind. You just produced The Godfather. You would think that he could have done anything he wanted to and anybody would have let him, but it wasn't like that at all.
No. I felt we were really lucky when we got a chance to interview him, because he was ready. He was ready to tell a story.
Yeah.
And we didn't know he was going to tell the story. We were there for another documentary, Picture Cards, and we just wanted to get just his take on being the producer of Cannonball Run, and then the fact that Sonny gets shot up in the Godfather with the car and stuff. And he just went into literally kind of highlighting his days in Hollywood, but he's such a great communicator and a great storyteller, because there was never any fat in his story. It was just
he was also a writer, right? He was a producer and a writer.
Yeah, so but he knows how to sell. He definitely knows how to sell. He was a great guy.
It's so informative and entertaining at the same time.
Yeah,
and I think that's the one thing that I think makes the documentary really fun to watch, is that you'll have if you like film, you're going to learn a lot. And even if you don't, not into the whole film thing, you're going to have a lot of fun with the stories, because he's great in that respect.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of the film. Tough Ain't Enough. That's where our production company, Tough Ain't Enough Productions, is based off of really that title. And that he's taught us that, making movies,
it's tough.
But it ain't enough. Even if you're tough, it's not enough. But no. But here's the thing, though. Working on that documentary, and then working on the feature film that we're doing, Noir. We're doing a wonderful supernatural horror film that's kind of
film noir.
Yeah.
Detective meets, The Exorcist kind of thing,
It's fun. Yeah. It's a fun movie, but those are movies that we are doing ourselves. So we've been on both sides of the fence.
And honestly, we've used a little AI in that film.
Well, but see, this is where I'm leading to, because of where we came from, the studio system, and now being on the independent level, being independent filmmakers ourselves, we've been
self-financing. So
still
of course, the money's coming from our pockets. So
exactly, the effects that this movie needed literally wasn't even created until AI, and the special effects people that were on it, we just couldn't get them cracking in the way that we wanted, mostly because it was a low budget film.
Well, when you're on a low budget film, you got a limited money, of course,
Yeah.
and you can't pay these people
What they're worth.
the rate that they're worth.
Yeah.
And so, what happens in essence is when you're on an independent budget like this, and you're doing such a, I know
It's
it was a very ambitious film to say the least,
Yes.
right? So it's an ambitious film. You got a limited budget. You need these guys working like pretty much full time in order to get the effects that you need. But
Right.
of course, they have to eat, they have to work and make money to pay their rent. So you're stuck with them doing it whenever they can. And when you're already working 12 and 14 hours for Marvel, it's hard to take like another 3 or 4 hours out of your day to work on our film.
And look, whenever somebody said, I got a job, we would always say, just go do it.
Yeah,
go do
you
it.
got to. But what has happened recently, though, is it's enabled us to kind of fill in the holes, that we had. So we have live action, we have CG, we have miniatures, which is a lot of fun. We have a lot of scenes that actually involve building miniatures and miniature tanks and stuff like that for a war scene that we shot. And now we've been able to integrate AI into that to kind of just fill it out and stuff like that. So it's actually, I think, and this is another thing, I think AI is going to be a great tool for filmmakers like us who are still making stuff with real actors, and we're still going to locations and shooting where we can, where they'll let us, right? So, but in those scenes that we don't have that ability, then now we got AI.
Our film, Noir, we used every means, every technology tool at our disposal to make it. So this will be a movie that has a little bit of everything as far as practical effects, green screen. We've shot it on the iPhones. And so there are so many elements that we use. And so and AI, because by the time AI came around, a lot of the stuff is the filler that we can get, which we are now getting incredible effects. But it is a challenge because you do have to use it as a tool, and we do have to work with it to help us create that world.
Well, it's also blending, AI.
And with what we already shot.
We got AI assets blended in with CG, 3D effects,
it looks
and
great.
live action. So it's a lot of. I mean, there's certain shots in that movie that have all three of those involved.
So I mean, I see the point of why people in the industry would fear AI, but at the same time, if AI is like anything else, as meant for a tool, then I think you got to be able to use it as a tool. And because of
you don't have to be a tool to use it.
I don't know what to say after that. I feel like a commercial break should come right in there. Yeah. This would be a good time to change the subject now.